Welcome back to another exciting episode of Dr. Chris's Film Dungeon Commentary, where we take a film, analyze it, watch it, and you can, alongside with me, whatever film I happen to be watching here in the studio, or you can just listen to a long-gated review of it. Now, I've only ever done like one other Japanese horror movie before. It was me and Mel Heflin did the film Wicked City, which tiptoes the line between horror, mystery, crime noir, and definitely hentai, just because of the material that's in the movie that happens to the female detective sometimes. But I decided for the holiday Halloween season, I would do the Japanese movie RINGU, which was made into a film called The Ring, starring Naomi Watts. And in this film, it's the story of the cursed videotape, which could not really work, I think, in today's world with DVDs and streaming. It'd be a cursed streaming service or something? I mean, I'm sure somebody is probably thinking of that. I digress. But joining me for this episode of Film Dungeon Commentary, who has never seen this film or The Ring, so her perception of this movie is completely unknown other than the fact that she is aware of what this film is. We have with us
Isabella Sinclaire,
who is going to talk to us about anything in the movie that she could possibly relate to, even though she has no context for the film whatsoever. But if you want to check out an entire lengthy interview about who she is and where she comes from and what she's up to here in Massachusetts, check out her interview over on the Radio Horror YouTube channel. But thank you for joining me for this episode this holiday season. I was so glad to get back together with you.
I don't watch a lot of horror films, so this is going to be a unique experience for me.
But you are somewhat of a horror fan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What would you say your favorite horror movie is?
Oh my gosh, The Shining.
Okay.
Can we go back that far? I mean, that's exactly why I built a hedge maze.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks is because I loved that movie.
I want to get lost in your hedge maze.
Yes.
No pun intended and no innuendo intended.
That's very funny.
Did you see Dr. Sleep?
No.
Oh, we should have watched Dr. Sleep. That'd be 3 hours. I'll bring Dr. Sleep over to your house and we'll watch it. Henry Thomas, a.k.a. Elliot from E.T., he plays Jack Torrance in that movie as the ghost.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's recently been on a lot of Mike Flanagan's shows on Netflix, like Midnight Mass and The Fall of the House of Usher and The Haunting of Hill House. So
I'm told I need to watch The Haunting of Hill House. I haven't yet.
Yes, I think you definitely do, considering what you're doing.
Right.
Orange.
I've been so busy renovating that I haven't watched a lot of TV at all in the last couple of years because there's always something else I need to be doing. So.
Well, we're going to hit the play button, so you can start it with the Toho Logo Studios. So the 000.2 or 000 is totally fine. We're doing this on Amazon Prime, and I also happen to have the Blu-ray for this as well. So we're going to hit start now, and you can as well, or just listen to a giant review of RINGU. And the Toho Studios logo is probably very familiar to a lot of fans of the Godzilla franchise, because this is what shows up in those films. For anyone who doesn't watch a lot of Japanese movies in general, Toho is basically like their big, like their BBC. So, I know I'll shut my phone off too. But it is definitely a treat if you have never seen this movie before. This kicked off the big wave of Japanese American films.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
big time. Big time. And it's going to be in subtitles too.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to get a lot of Japanese text in the beginning of this film if you're not familiar with it or have never seen it before. So just keep that in mind. The Blu-ray came out from Arrow Home Video, and they recently just announced, I think it was them or Scream Factory, is putting out a box set of the 3 American Ring films, which are hit or miss. After the first one. The first one, I think, is incredible. The second one is not very good.
Okay.
And the third one was just kind of like,
typical.
We're going to make this because we still own the copyright. We got to keep it in our possession kind of thing.
Right.
They did do, I'm not even kidding, a RINGU versus Grudge movie. The Ghost from the Ring versus the Ghost from the Grudge, and a bunch of teenagers caught in the middle. I only watched a clip of it because I woke up in the middle of the night and forgot my TV, my computer was on, and it was on Shudder where you can stream it, and all I kept hearing was that god awful creaking noise the Grudge girl makes, which is basically what you find out in the film is her bones being broken by her husband, and that is what that awful sound is that she makes.
Okay,
so,
interesting.
Yes.
I can't see the screen so terribly well. Ah, there we go.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. So at the beginning of the movie, the one friend is explaining to the other that if you watch this tape, there's this urban legend, and supposedly some kid died, and of course nobody believes it until what's about to happen happens. A lot of American product placement in this movie. We have Ritz Crackers and Mr. Peanut. Must be big in Japan. On Family Guy, the parody was the videotape was Mannequin 2.
That's funny.
So after Peter watches Mannequin 2, he's all like contorted in the closet because there's a freak out scene that comes. I think it's played up much more for her horror than suspense in the American version. When you see what happens to one of the people in the Japanese version, it's definitely more of a thriller, kind of a spooky detective thriller, whereas the American version is a horror detective thriller because the main character, the female lead, has to go out and try and figure out what the hell's going on, especially after she watches it. So she has to find out who this girl was and stuff. It's also very funny that the ring girl, when she really does show up, is 56 years old today. But you look at the actress now at 56 years old, you're like, that woman's not 56 years old. She's like in her 20s and 30s. And it's like, no, she's actually 56 years old, but she just aged incredibly well. Have you watched a lot of Japanese films?
No.
Most of my Japanese knowledge is, again, from like Godzilla films or horror movies.
I did see Godzilla.
The actress who plays Tamato, she unfortunately died in 2020. She was on a TV series called Miss Sherlock, and it's an amazing show. Only one season got made before the pandemic, and it was brought over here. It's an incredible show. It's like gender swap Sherlock Holmes, and she plays Sherlock Holmes like you expect a woman to play Sherlock Holmes.
That sounds very familiar.
Like incredibly evil bitch face, but puts people in their place. And it's terribly, terribly unfortunate. She was 20 years old, so she's the Tamato, I believe, the girl lying down right now, who's suspicious of the tape, having watched it. She committed suicide. But Sherlock could have been like, a big deal for her, just because that first season is amazing. It's worth watching.
It's so weird when people do that, when you see, like, from our perspective, what a great career could be happening, and then take your own life.
So the original film, the Japanese movie, came out in the 90s, and what this thing that she's holding, for anyone who's not been born since the year 2000, is called a corded phone. That wire goes into the jack that you pick the receiver up. Yeah, it's called a landline. Because I guarantee people watch it and go, what was the black box used for?
Yes, I know.
But I would love to see a smart writer update this. You know what I mean? Have you been to Japan?
No.
Oh.
I haven't been to any Asian countries yet. I was going to go this past summer, but I ended up having to stay here and take care of some things.
A giant mansion, one of them.
Yes.
And you flying to Texas and California every 5 minutes, I see.
Yeah. I have been to Texas a few times recently. But I just flew back from Florida, and then I'm going back again.
The starlit life of an international dominatrix?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to perform in St. Petersburg November 4th.
having you on the show and talking about like your real life and being a mom and being like a normal human being is hilarious, because it really gives people a perspective of like who you like really are outside of like the vinyl leather and
Right.
just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
30 years of corresponding, adult film industry and things like that. So can you see it?
Yeah. Yeah, I like humanizing my role.
Yeah. No, totally makes sense.
Wait, did I just miss where her friend was?
I think her friend. You're gonna find out what happened to her friend.
Okay.
No, it's funny. So I didn't see the Japanese version until many years after I had seen the American version.
Now I'll have to go see the American version and watch the comparison.
Naomi Watts, I think, it's honestly, of all the Japanese adaptations that have been done over the years, a lot of people consider it to be the best one. The Grudge is pretty heavily highly regarded and loved as well, but I think a lot of that's because of the that movie came out right when Buffy the Vampire Slayer was ending, so Sarah Michelle Gellar had basically crossed over. There's a hilarious parody, I think, in Scary Movie 3 with Charlie Sheen's character with The Grudge.
I honestly don't think I saw 3. I think I saw 1 and 2 and was like, okay.
Yeah, that's enough for me.
Yes.
This is a very old school newspaper, video, TV station.
With VHSs and
oh my God,
big
it's just
computers and
it's one giant clusterfuck.
yeah. All of that stuff can fit on one computer now.
But in terms of like who they cast to take over the role of the main character, which is our reporter right here, I think Naomi Watts, as an American version of her, fits kind of perfectly. I don't remember if Naomi Watts is a reporter or not, but Ryuji Takayama, who is I think our main male character and might be this gentleman right here, is best known nowadays for people for the John Wick franchise in Mortal Kombat, the most recent Mortal Kombat. He was also in Bullet Train, 47 Ronin. He plays a lot of obviously Asian heavy characters. He's 63 years old and still kicking ass in movies.
Yeah.
Thank God they translate that for us.
I know.
My Japanese is a little rough. So this actress is, and I will be butchering these, so I do apologize. Nanako Matsushima. She is currently 50 years old, still acting today, and also was in the Ring 2. Ringu 2, and great teachers of Anzuki, Shields of Straw, and a lot of dramas too. So nothing I am totally familiar with. This kid loves dinosaurs and the Nutcracker, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny to see how busy his room is, and you can see in the living room it's not so set decorated.
Do they share a room? Why was she in there changing? Did I miss that also?
They might be sharing a room. So it's her sister's daughter who was killed because she watched material that she should not have been watching.
Yeah.
They definitely age up the child in the American version. He is, I feel like, definitely much older, just because he doesn't seem so like timid and small in the other version. Our main male actor is his illegitimate father. They kind of live separately just for the sake of it. It is never explained even in the American version. Like, they have a kid together, but it's like they're together, but he doesn't live with them, and the kid does not acknowledge him as dad.
Weird.
Yeah, it's really like you gotta read between the lines of the American version, I feel, and even in the Japanese version, this version, I don't 100% get it. But, you know, creepy kids be creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I haven't been to a lot of Japanese funerals, or wakes, excuse me, so... Now, if I remember, in the American version, it's the two girls are dressed up. These two girls were in the bedroom. They were dressed what looks like pretty much like normal wear, nothing over ridiculous. But in the American version, they were definitely private school girls. So they were dressed up in a little bit more private school uniforms, talking about boys and things like that. And I think they get right to the reveal of what the victim looks like immediately. Whereas in this, it's kind of drawn out. The American director was also the director of Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one.
Ah. Is this in the house, in the room where it happened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yoichi.
Why are kids always so creepy?
It's just their nature.
Uh-huh.
On Google, they put both the Japanese cast back together with the American cast. That's kind of funny. Like it's one movie. I'm trying to see who played Yuichi. Oh, here he is. So Yuichi is played by Rikiya Otaka. He was born in 1991, so he's about 32 years old now. So if this movie came out in the 90s, yeah, he'd be about 5 or 6 years old, which is what the kid looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the original Ring actually came out in 1998, RINGU. Our version came out like 2 years later.
They died of fright.
But this is what I mean by, like, in the American version, it's much more like a twisted horror, like, you know.
Is this the mother of one of the other kids who died?
Yeah. Now, have you ever thought about why is it called The Ring?
No.
Takes a while to get there. It's a kind of the end of the movie thing. You discover what is the ring. What does that mean? Why is this ghost? What does this have to do with the ghost and everything? Does it have to do with the cursed videotape? Who made the videotape is not really ever explained. You assume it's just the ghost or whatever, but it's just like, how does she have time to do this? Why doesn't she just haunt people like a normal person? Yeah. Why do none of these people like have anything to do with why she died and how she died to begin with? Because she is a dead spirit. I mean, that's not
ghost using
spoiler.
Technology is not normally in that way.
Right.
Like they make lights flicker and things like that.
But you will understand as they will explain. So. This is also a very quiet movie, too. In the American version, there is a lot of background music because we would just never be able to sell that kind of movie.
Right, yeah.
The score for The Ring is, I think, amazing. RINGU does not really have a score as much as I could hear it. So even as we were recording this, we have the volume down, but we're reading this with subtitles anyway. It's the ambiance of the film to make it creepy. Don't console her. So it's funny, is in the American version, her and her father's kid are divorced. In this version, her and her father's kid are divorced. So they just kind of co-parent when they can.
Yeah.
In the American version, it's just like, I think they had like a thing. She gave birth. She's like, you don't need to be involved. You don't want to be. And he's like, okay, I will when I want to be. And more realizes maybe he should be more involved in his kid's life. But it's not even like you're really piecing that together. Now this is the creepy part. The photographs. That's incredibly creepy. So kids in school were talking about it. Oh, I already heard it from school. Now, the date's important because in 7 days after you watch the tape, you're going to get killed by the ghost. I used to have a t-shirt that had custom made at like a mall kiosk of the ring bitch crawling out of the TV, and below her is a Ghostbusters trap. Saying that would clear up that problem up real fast.
That's hilarious.
I was like, why has nobody made a t-shirt like this? I was like, so I went to the mall thing. I was like, I want this and this image, and like do it the best way you can to make it look. And he did it. It was amazing. It was the best $30 I spent on a t-shirt.
That's hilarious.
I had it for so long until I wore it out. So she hasn't watched the tape yet, by the way.
Yes. So these are all four of these kids have died now?
These are all people that were with the girl when they watched the tape. It's like, ha, let's do this and watch this tape. It's supposedly haunted. So they were with the girl who, when her friend was telling her about the story, that's when she started getting all weirded out. Because what's her name? Sudoku? Creepy ring girl. She'll call you up. In 7 days you will suffer. Click. Now, I remember hearing that conventions like San Diego Comic-Con, when the movie was coming out, the American version, someone said they were giving away copies of the tape that you would watch.
Oh, huh.
And it's a hot collector's item.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can watch the whole tape on YouTube, the entire video, the creepy tape or whatever. And there's, of course, videos that break down everything in the tape and how they filmed it and everything. I think it's a concept that can only exist in its time period. Maybe with DVD, but DVD became much more circulated. But with streaming service, I think it would just go everywhere. So many people will watch it. It's just be like, oh, yeah, let's watch this, make a TikTok video.
They'd be watching it before they realized what they were watching.
Right.
The way that things circulate so quickly.
That's typical teenage angst, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everyone who does an investigation falls asleep on the couch.
Apparently so. So she hasn't found the tape yet. Whereas in the American version, Naomi Watts finds the tape in the possessions of her cousin. Takes it home, watches it.
Okay.
Tries to figure out what, like fast forward, speed through, or whatever.
Is it in there?
But this reminds me of hunting down Japanese bootlegs for films that I was trying to find. Like, for instance, when I found out there were many Godzilla movies made in the 90s that hadn't come over here yet, I was on a quest to try and track them down. Of course, when 1998's Godzilla came out, the really terrible one with Matthew Broderick, those films started flooding the market, whatever, in officially released capacity, whatever. So, thankfully, I only wasted like $30 on one tape. Japanese. Here we go. And there's a new Godzilla movie actually coming out this December, Godzilla -1. It's about the day after the Japanese have surrendered and they're trying to rebuild their country. And in history, it was called the 0 year for Japan because they were basically
starting over.
They were starting over because they were destroyed as a country. We fucked them up so badly. Mm-hmm. and then Godzilla walks up on shore, and that's why it's called -1. So now they're going back a year. The previews in Japan are massively huge, and here in the States, they're definitely becoming acclaimed. So this is a big release from Japan coming to America. That's hopefully going to make all the money for them. So this is the mother of the ring girl. Spoilers for a movie that is 33 years old. I don't know what a lot of the rest of this is, but... Somebody with a shroud over their head pointing. A DNA strand in their iris. And a well.
Wells are also creepy.
What does that well remind you of?
They're just in a lot of movies, too.
But what did the well remind you of?
Oh, a ring? Oh.
I mean, she's like that tape didn't seem to, not as much as the American version of that tape, I think, is much creepier. Like, they really did a great job of boosting up the, I don't want to watch that by myself.
Yeah.
Ick factor. But there's this really subtle thing of, like, she reaches it at the TV and a fly comes out the TV.
So what if they don't answer the phone? I mean,
good question.
What if you just don't answer the phone? Do you still?
That
do you
bitch
still
just
die?
keep ringing and ringing. She wants her souls or whatever. Subtitles did not mention what she said, but I'm assuming it's the 7 days you will suffer. Because it's still Monday. September 13th from the date that we saw. The first time we see a date, too, by the way. Right in the... Nice thing for anyone who wants to watch this on Prime, there's like a pop-up video kind of... what do you call it on Prime? Like a X-ray of all the different people. I don't want to really mess with it too much because we're recording this commentary alongside it, but for anybody who wants to watch it on Prime and rent it or whatever, it's really nice to see all of the different actors that will show up in scenes. Like it's this little boy right now, who's now 32 years old. And that is his father, who is from the John Wick films, the fourth John Wick movie, Mortal Kombat, and a bunch of other films. Who now it's Tuesday, September 14th. Even though I'm not interested in owning the other Ring films in any kind of collector's format, for the American version, I would like the special collector's edition of the first one.
She appears to be still in love.
I mean, you're divorced, right? Do you still have any feelings for any of your...
Yeah, but is that going to play into part of this scenario?
Yes.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Yes.
Maybe.
No
No
spoiler alerts.
spoilers.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I recently broke up with somebody, and I still have incredibly deep...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the whole tragic in the rain under the umbrella. I love you. Get some help, work it out. I love you too. That was my advice to her, but that was literally the reason why she broke up to me. Tragic death in the family really did not deal with her grief very well.
Yeah, well, grief's a hard thing.
Yeah. Take my picture with this Polaroid camera.
To see if it's all blurry?
Yeah, basically. You can get a Polaroid camera now, right? Like it's
yes,
it's
come
really
back.
cool. Yeah. I've seen them. They look really awesome. It's like $200 for one.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
It's more expensive now
Yeah.
to do Polaroid than before.
But I wouldn't mind someone got me one for Christmas. Anyone listening to this wants to send one to Radio Horror for Christmas, I would not say no. I had coffee. It's cold. Oh! This is what I will look like in 50 years. Not really. She looks exactly the same. 30 years later. 33, 34. This is 2023. This is 1997 when they filmed it. So don't watch that. Don't stop them either.
So will it explain why the Polaroids or why the film are blurry in their face and like distorted?
Yeah, no, but I think
So we don't know why that's happening.
no, I think it has something to do with like photography capturing evil kind of thing.
So like nowadays we have orbs or like things like that. So this is some similar.
So my boss at my full-time job it's funny you mentioned that. He took this picture in his house with his indoor camera that basically watches his dog while they're at work. No,
Can't-
it's upright. It's upright. It's
I can't-
upright.
I know. I can't tell what it is though. I'm trying to like.
Oh, here. Let me try and flip it again. So there's the gate to keep the dog in. There's the stairs leading upstairs. What do you think that is? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A midget, a very small human,
A very
or a kid.
dead child, possibly.
So he watched it and he never got the call?
Maybe he didn't watch the whole thing. What if you only watch pieces of it?
Yeah, what if you fast forward to the end?
Yeah. What if you're never home to receive her phone call?
What if you don't even have a phone?
What if... You're right. Was that her? She looked much more clean up than a girl living in a well.
Right? Her shoes were very unwell, wet looking. Musky.
Nothing, except I watched your weird tape.
So this is a copy of the tape? Is that what I'm understanding? Okay. What happens if you watch it twice?
So the mirror disappears, and then the ring girl appears. The HD quality of the VHS tape is amazing. But it was the Japanese, and they were pretty high up on technology, even in 1997. What's funny is we haven't seen a Ring movie in quite some time, but there was a fourth American Grudge movie that was in theaters the year before the pandemic. The year of the pandemic. The look she's giving, are we supposed to believe that he is possibly sleeping with her?
That would be my guess.
I couldn't decipher what that equation was.
Or why she did that. Yeah.
Well, looks like gibberish to me.
But it's not good,
No.
apparently.
And then there's people crawling on the ground and somebody wearing a towel pointing. And then there's the creepy Sada.
And whose eye is that supposed to be? Do we know?
No. The name Sada is primarily a female name of Japanese origin that means pure one. Also an Arabic name meaning good fortune. So I'm assuming the ring girl is supposed to be pure.
Pure evil?
Maybe. Another Urban Dictionary definition is a beautiful yellow... Okay, this might not be politically correct, but I'm reading it anyway. A beautiful yellow-boned girl with a spunky, unique personality that automatically draws people to her. I'm assuming they're referring to yellow as in, like, you know, Asian people, and that doesn't quite hold up very well.
And that's Urban Dictionary?
Yes, that's UrbanDictionary.com. Yet we still play a lot of Bruce Springsteen songs on the air that have referred to people from Vietnam as the Yellow Man. Frolic and some sounds like some sort of saying. Frolic and brine. What does it say? Frolic and brine? Goblins be thine, right?
Something like that, yeah.
The first ring had a singular old woman voice saying, Shoman Bakara Shite Ut to Boku. If you keep playing the water, the monster will come for you. Oh my. So the kid with the towel on his head, or man, is referred to as the Towel Man. Original. So apparently it doesn't mean anything. It's a bad translation, but also it's a nonsense rhyme in Japanese as well. They weren't actually expecting anyone to dissect it like they did.
Yeah.
This is kind of like watching movies from 50 years ago, being like, okay, when they did this movie, there was no YouTube and podcasters just dissecting a film piece by piece.
Yeah, you couldn't check references.
Yeah, there was nobody driving trucks through plot holes. Mm-hmm. Like, we were reviewing Werewolf the series recently, and there was just so many plot holes in this late 1980s TV show, and I told my co-host, okay, stop driving the truck through the plot holes and just enjoy it for what it is. I guess it's the same thing here with, like, the different ways to not pick up the phone and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that right there, that image of the ring girl's eye through her hair.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been cosplayed like dozens of times. You see girls in just white shards with their black hair over their face.
And if she dies, he's a single father, and the kid doesn't like him.
Oh, no. So, by the way, there is apparently at least more than one reference that the film is in 1997, despite, obviously, it would have been filmed in 1997. And the dates do correspond with, like, when they actually filmed the movie, too. Gotta dump the kids somewhere while mom goes play Nancy Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Oh.
Didn't just kill herself, just didn't want anything remaining. I mean, short of like throwing herself into the sun, the volcano.
Right.
Okay, then what are you sitting around the phone for? Go investigate shit. Damn. Just don't watch any videotapes I leave lying around. Like, she should have, like, the copy of the tape with her.
I don't know that I'd be sleeping so well, or at all. If I thought I was dying in 3 days, I would not want to miss a moment.
Especially not on the floor.
Yeah. Cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing, but it sounds like it's a very uncomfortable cultural thing.
I agree.
You can't tell me that's great for your back. There's like Ring comic books too. Did he just disappear, or is she seeing? Yeah, okay. I was gonna say she must be hallucinating. Yep, that's what I thought. No!
She will be gone before him, so she won't know. What? Do we know who that is?
His cousin who died. The girl who watched the tape.
Oh, okay, okay.
There was a film that came out last year called Smile, and it's the same kind of premise like Ring, and if you've ever heard of a film called It Follows. It follows as you have sex with somebody, you have to keep having sex with someone else to pass the virus on to someone else or whatever, the demon that's going to kill you. It's basically like an STD curse.
Okay.
In the film Smile, you have to kill yourself in front of someone else to pass it on, or the demon will like give you a much more horrible death. So to save yourself from a horrible death, you just commit suicide in front of somebody to pass it along. And the movie does not have a happy ending, let me tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, people were just like, like shocked by the movie or whatever. I mean, a lot of people was like, it's like just a Ring ripoff, but it's with suicide, or it's It Follows, except for you're not having sex with somebody. There's a scene in It Follows where like the female main character drives away from her friend and wakes up in the first thing in the morning or whatever, and she's like, she looks out and sees like what looks like apparently like a fishing boat with a bunch of guys drinking or whatever. So she starts stripping off her clothes and swimming out there to bang every single one of them. But later on, then the thing starts following her again. She realizes all those guys in the boat she fucked are dead. And the main male character goes out to Skid Row and a bunch of hookers or whatever, and he pulls out his wallet. And sure enough, then the two of them have sex with each other to help push it forward. You see them walking away, holding hands or whatever is there. Obviously, you need to continue the...
But if no one watches the video, then it just ends.
Yeah, it's killed everybody.
In this.
Mm-hmm. I won't tell you who dies, but yeah, you need to make a copy of the video. You have to have someone watch it, and then they make a copy of it to it. But they don't really find that out until later on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's you have to make
Spoiler alert.
you have to watch it. You have to watch it, make a copy of it, or whatever, and then that copy basically will remain untouched until someone decides to find it. If you're that stupid to let someone else find it. Never mind the fact that the actors are today 63 and 50 years old. Even then, he looks old enough to be her father.
Yeah. There definitely looks like an age difference there.
Oh.
They found him.
So all the little clues with the phone calls and the number 7 and things like that, they're all tied to the ghost. But I do remember this in both the Japanese and American versions. They never explain why the ghost is the way it is. I think it's like a Michael Myers thing. Just evil is pure evil,
right,
no matter what. Like, you know, was Jeffrey Dahmer just evil?
Yes. I mean, what if he doesn't want to see someone else die? That's a big responsibility. Not everyone's ready for it.
Pretty much. A little dramatic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in his mind, all 3 of them are going to die anyway.
It's quite the feast for 2 people.
The woman from the mirror.
Mm. There's one thing I definitely give about this movie is that they have weird camera angles because of that panning shot. There's all this space on the right-hand side where they're on the far left-hand side. I think it's supposed to be a matter of, like, unsubtleness.
Mm-hmm.
What?
He just wants to live in peace.
In the American version, she does this by herself. He's not with her. He stays at home with the kid. They don't
okay.
drive the kid out to be with Grandpa.
Oh.
So they make it more like Naomi Watts is the star of the movie. Koji Suzuki is the author of the Ring book series that the films are based on. There's also a prequel movie called Birthday. It's the story of the girl prior to the events of The Ring. Obviously a good idea to see The Ring first and then see the prequel. But that's the original novel cover.
Yeah.
So there's Ring, Kanzaban, Ring, the Ring Virus, the Ring Final Chapter, Birthday Spiral. Plus 2 audio dramas.
So they're all flashed back into this one scene now? They all have psychic abilities?
Well, I think it's the mom has psychic abilities and she's passed them on to her daughter. In the novel, by the way, 30 years have passed since the Ring tape shows up and when the girl was killed. It's a long time to become a vengeful spirit. But maybe 30 years from the 1990s, there were no VHS tapes. So you had to wait till technology caught up with you to enact your vengeance. Also, the tape itself is 20 minutes long. Because you only see like maybe a minute of it from the movie. But I think on YouTube videos, the tape is pretty long. The idea of The Ring, I think, is really creepy and weird. But I just don't think it needs like multiple stories and add-ons to it. Like a prequel's fine, but I just think it goes overkill if you keep doing another story. It's like, how many times can you like not keep telling people not to watch this thing?
Yeah.
And yes, I know there might be like the internet trolls like, it's all fake, whatever, I'll watch it. Excuse me. I'll watch it because I'm a jerk online. But that becomes like more parody and then humorous than taking itself seriously. Because killing off trolls on the internet that want to watch it just for the sake of being douches and internet trolls doesn't, I think, give any kind of horror element to a story.
She's not supposed to be dead yet. So the daughter was also supposed to have some sort of psychic ability, but she was the evil one. And then also sort of, I mean, she's had no nails on her fingers, like she was a...
Why didn't she
cannibal?
have any nails on her fingers? Yeah, that's the mystery for you
Yeah.
to learn. But yes, the mother has psychic abilities, the daughter had psychic abilities as well, but the psychic abilities obviously did not seem to be well for the daughter to have them, because the mother looked like she could control them.
Mm-hmm.
So the Japanese are also apparently very progressive because in the novel, I don't know, I'm assuming intersex is the same thing as being... both
male and female?
Yeah, yes. Hermaphrodite? Yes. So in the novel, Sadeko is...
Intersex?
Intersex.
Huh, okay.
Non-binary, but that's usually more of a...
Yeah,
mind,
different than non-binary.
But intersex is an actual physical, having
physical.
both penis and a vagina.
Yes.
I'm assuming one's on top of the other.
I've never physically seen it, but I
Really?
know I know people who are.
In your 30 years, you've never seen...
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
I thought you would have seen everything.
Nope. I think that is so rare. But like I said, I do know 2 people who are born intersex.
Now, do you know... I don't know this fact or not, but this is something I remember either reading or someone telling me. There are multiple intersex people in Russia and Japan for reasons of radiation.
Huh.
Because of Japan has had 2 atomic bombs blown up on them, and then Russia had Chernobyl.
I mean, I guess it's possible.
Yeah. They said it is not a regular mutation. It is a forced mutation because of the environment around.
Would make sense.
Yeah, I was like, that makes a lot of sense then. You know, thinking and breathing in something while you're pregnant, not realizing, and then mutating the fetus, that it can't develop. I don't want to use the term correctly, but you get what I'm saying, correctly. Having both sexes is not normal. Choosing whether you want to be whatever you want to be is fine. That's a completely different conversation.
Yeah.
But being born with something, that's like being born with a third eye.
It's very
like
uncommon.
It's very uncommon, yes. But again, I don't know about the whole radiation thing being true. But you also think about the X-Men. The X-Men, when they originally created, were about the mutants were basically because of the radiation experimentations and things like that their parents might have been involved with that caused mutation in them, once upon a time. How much that still happens or is still the case in the current X-Men comics, I don't know. But I do remember that being a thing of radiation caused this mutant birth and this mutant birth. Superpowers or sometimes deformities,
Probably more deformities.
Right, Nightcrawler would be considered a deformity, but also that's eventually explained. Oh, his dad's a demon, so, bangs a blue chick. That's why he turns out to be a blue-looking demon. Ooh, another good example of that. Puppet Master, enemy of the Fantastic Four, his stepdaughter went blind because of the fact that he works with this radioactive clay that he can use to control people with. Once he makes a clay version of you, he can control you and do whatever you want. And she, when she was a young child, was exposed to too much of it. Whereas he was in lead shielding clothing or whatever, she would just always be sneaking into his laboratory and then eventually lose her sight because of it.
Huh.
So he had a relationship with this test subject, patient with psychic powers, and they gave birth to this
demon child.
This creepy chick, yes, little girl. In the American version, when they find the father, he tries to kill the mom. After she basically just keeps digging and digging and digging and digging. He's just you need to leave well enough alone and you're not. It's in time to die.
How funny.
Yeah. But I think in failing to do so, he hangs himself. Or he doesn't try to kill her. No, I think he just knocks her unconscious to stop her from looking, and then she finds him swinging. There was a Ring TV show in Japan too called Ring: The Final Chapter, because it needs a TV show.
Right.
13 50-minute episodes. Wow. The seal is now solved. Killed by a videotape. Someone is watching. A virus of silence. The dead person who was reborn. A new person with supernatural powers. Sadako will appear tonight. Someone will die when the curse is solved. Planned memory. Sadako's revival. Ryuju Takama dies, and the curse was not lifted. Sounds like it's a TV show based on the actual movie. And so that's the other funny thing is that the main antagonist in the book is actually him. She's not really a character.
In what? Wait.
In the book, the actual novel, it's him.
Oh.
He's the one investigating it. She is just kind of like a nothing character.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah. So they
And
developed
then
her.
we changed the American version where she's the hero.
Well,
and
when
he's
they
not
adapted it,
existent.
they added in her character to make her like the central main character. He's secondary, and every other version has been like, again, the female reporter with her tag-along boyfriend trying to save their, love child. It's more about saving the kid now because he watched it than those two's lives. I wonder where you can watch this show. There's like no link to hey, this is the
It's here.
yeah,
It's
buy the
available
DVD, something like that, with like all the films from Japan having now come out. Yeah, and the website's in Japanese. I can't read it. Let's see if I can translate it. Yeah, just let me order anything. That's so funny. This came out like a year after this movie and is just exactly the same plot line. Mm-hmm. Is a 12-episode self-contained miniseries not connected to the film.
Not connected to the film.
Not connected to the film, but it's the same plot line. He's investigating it because his niece dies of a heart attack on her bike. So he goes to investigate the college her and her friends are at and discovers the tape. Mm.
And what are they down here looking for? The well?
Yep.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, okay.
In the American version, I think the well's in a basement. Also, whenever she's near any kind of animal, it starts freaking the frick out, or whatever. Like a dog's barking like crazy at her all of a sudden. And there's this horrific scene of she's on that boat or whatever, trying to get to the island where the father lives, and horses start freaking the fuck out. Whatever, one of them, whatever, starts charging at her and dives over right into the motor to kill itself to get away from her. And I'm assuming that's just because animals detect like spiritual stuff that they don't love, and they don't know how to react to it any other way. Oh, that's a great sound effect too. That whack.
Yeah,
love that. So that's also not a little girl either. I mean,
no,
in the original, she's like 10, but in this or whatever, for the actress to be 56 years old today, she would have to have been 27 or something like that. That 27-year-old actresses, no matter how beautiful you look,
her face,
right? Yeah. But that woman was as tall as that man.
Yeah.
So they must have let her grow up too. And then in the American version, it's creepier to have like a 10-year-old girl play her.
Yeah.
the actress who plays her in the American movie, she was at conventions like right afterwards, I remember, and people were constantly complaining about like her autographs were like $40 back in like early 2000s. People thought that was a ridiculous amount of money. I don't know what she's charging these days, but I don't see her on the convention circuit, let's just say, anymore. Mm-hmm. She might be like, all right, I'm done with this whole, I played a creepy girl when I was 10. Samara is the name of her character in the American version. She was played by Davini Chase. She is 33 years old today.
Yeah, that actress looks familiar too.
Yeah, she was on Big Love, and she was Samantha Darko in S. Darko. I never saw that. She returned to play Samara in Rings, which was the third American Ring movie, which was not that great. But she hasn't done anything since like 2015, 2017.
So she didn't die. She tried to climb out, he said.
Oh, I can imagine she's probably dead.
Yeah, but he said, so she fell into the well.
She got knocked unconscious into the well.
But then he said she's tried to climb out.
She starved to death.
Yeah.
Do you remember her fingernails being what they were?
Yeah,
she was,
exactly. Trying to climb out.
Yeah. But living down there, she eventually would just starve to death. Which I think is pretty horrible, slow way to die.
Yeah.
Because your organs will start eating themselves, basically. I've tried going like... Oh,
yeah, I've fasted. I know what it feels like.
Yeah, you fasted, yeah. It's not fun. I did it just to see if I could do it. I was just like, this sucks. Is there easier ways to lose weight?
So they're trying to drain the well? Don't they know that that's usually, water is coming in from an underground water source that fills the well up?
I mean, he's standing, so it must be, it's not like he's like, wading in water. I mean, he's like waist deep, so it can't be that much water, right? It's not rising, right? I mean, eventually you get down to at least the...
That's the way the water table works, though. It only will go as high as it needs to.
Right. So what I'm saying, though, is that they could probably pull up enough water to... But yeah, they're going to bail.
That's not how the water table works. You can't just, empty the water out. It'll go right back in.
Do you know this from experience, having emptied your own well?
I know how wells work.
I thought you've been doing this recently. You find this well in your backyard.
I do have a well in the basement.
Like this?
Well, it's similar. I mean, it gets pumped out every day.
Are you sure there's nobody dead?
But it only comes to a certain... Well, it is haunted. But it only goes to a certain height, and then it won't ever go over that height because that's how the water comes in, and then it stops there. It doesn't keep rising beyond the level of the well.
We got 1 hour left. Bail faster! Hurry up and take it!
Look like it's going down.
I do love he yells at us. Well, hurry up! Maybe you should have rented one of those things with the generator and the hose.
Yeah, siphon it out.
Yeah. You probably would have siphoned it out much faster than it could refill.
They've been dumping water for hours. I'd rather be him at the bottom than her at the top. That water is going to get heavy.
Well, this is also the impression of in a lot of ghosting shows, you find the body and you give it a proper burial, everything will be fine. However, there's a catch coming up. So in Supernatural, they would salt and burn the bones. Sam and Dean Winchester would salt and burn the bones and clear those problems up real quick. But then they find out, what? We salt and burn the body. Yeah, but there must still be something attached. And they find out, oh, it's a keychain or something. You know what I mean? A pocket knife was one thing. That was the Scooby Natural episode. They find out the pocket knife holds this kid's spirit because I guess the body has been buried and destroyed. I don't know. So the owner of the block of stores keeps putting the pocket knife into different things in different stores to keep the spirit around, to keep his renters changing and insurance and things like that, so he can keep making money on it. And it's not until they get sucked into the Scooby-Doo episode or whatever and corner the kid, and he calms down to tell them what happened to him when he was a little boy. Oh!
Okay, that wouldn't happen today.
I'm assuming this is like a Mr. Green thing, like in Clue, like she's screaming and he slaps her. I had to stop her from screaming. Yeah. So you're saying that's not okay? Okay. She wasn't exactly in hysterics either. You're right.
Yeah.
She does like eyeball very well.
Yeah. Big.
Like
frozen
huge
stares.
Yeah. Like the Japanese eyeball creepy look like people would give sometimes. So I was trying to definitely find something incredibly unique for you, but also being a parent yourself, maybe something relatable, and something completely outside of the normal wheelhouse of normal American cinema, but at least something you're familiar with. But then also like trying to look into like films of like, hey, what is her demographic and her job? Oh, there's only one film series, Hellraiser, really.
Right, yeah.
D. Snyder's Strange World. Maybe that's got some weird, like, heavy S&M connotations into it, but not in a level that I really want to watch because the movie's not that great. But there are, 11 Hellraiser movies, but... Oh, this is what will happen to my hair if I don't wash it correctly. She doesn't seem very surprised.
I know, right?
Oh, wrong go, sorry. I used to do that to somebody, and they were just like, stop doing that! All I can think of is the girl from The Grudge. We never see her face. Okay, see? We never really see her face. Mm-hmm. That is pretty gross,
and she's
though.
Crying. Uzi. Crying.
She just wants a mommy. She just wants to be loved. Can I possess your son? You can have both you can have both a daughter and a son if I possess his body. See, now it's getting weird. It's getting weird that you had to say that. You could have just said, I could have just said, no, we will find you a dead child to possess and you can take her that over. Maybe a coma patient child that's pretty much on, oxygen tubes and stuff.
So all she had to do was hug the girl?
Yeah, that's all needed was a hug. In, why did they? His own daughter. It's reminds me of something. This is very obscure. So, IDW comic book company. They published a Transformer comic book from like 2005 to like 2015 or 16, and they ended it with this giant story called Unicron. And it took was for Unicron to stop being angry and eating planets. It was for Optimus Prime to give him a hug, and the whole fan base went, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
Really?
Optimus Prime just gives this guy a hug and then they implodes, and that's the end of Unicron, as well, taking out Optimus Prime with it. How about Optimus Prime just opening up the Matrix and just freaking killing Unicron? It's like, no, we gotta do something differently. The whole series was very like, let's like cater to today's audience and be very kind of, I hate using the word woke, but a little bit too much sometimes, especially in the context of robot versus robot action.
Robot versus robot action.
They had a story. I'll tell you about that afterwards. But The did they just park directly behind somebody?
I think that's her car.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
They had a change of clothes, so now they're not in sticky well clothes anymore. That was smart.
All's well that ends well. I still don't know what the formula is that
Yeah.
he needed to change, and she needed to change. His student needed to change. So in The Grudge,
Obviously, some inside joke between the two of them.
in The Grudge, the story is the wife finds out that her husband is sleeping with one of his students, and confronts him about it. And he throws her down the stairs, breaking every bone in her body, doing it, killing her. And possibly their unborn child too. And that is the grudge, the angered spirit trapped in the house, or whatever, that you enter it, and whatever, you will feel its anger. And that's the sound it makes again, like I said, that is her bones cracking and breaking, which is incredibly creepy. Now this is new. Oh, it's extra footage. It's like bonus features. Like that scene, and like
If you just let it sit on pause for long enough, then it'll automatically play again. And
don't they usually stop the tape, or does the tape run out? Because now this just is like Marvel MCU post-credit scene stuff. In the American version, when she, obviously you know what's going to happen. The effect is incredible for the time period. It's a really incredible effect. And this is not a little girl either. This is definitely like a woman, 20-something years old.
yeah, definitely not 10-year-old girl. I love how it looks like they shot her walking backwards and then played it forward. So it has that weird, like, just
Right.
doesn't quite flow.
And her makeup is not so horrific as the American version. The American version, she's almost got like green skin, and because it's the well water and it's all veiny and translucent.
So she just got the call that he's dead?
I think so.
And she still remembers to take her shoes off, even in an emergency.
This is the exception to the rule. Was the cardboard always there?
I think that's one of those wicker mat rug things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It did not look like wicker.
It's got to be something with that equation again. Homomorphism since the injection, something.
Oh.
There's something in the bag. She doesn't get scared by anything. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Nothing scares her.
She made a copy.
Oh.
He didn't make a copy when he watched it. She made a copy for him. So she killed her ex-husband. You feel good about yourself now? Look what you did. So it's like he became the towel man.
Mm-hmm.
Because he saw it. And that's why he wears the towel now. Because he can no longer see. Dad, I need you to watch something for me. I should would have found your worst enemy and done that.
What if you just forget to make a copy and, you know, you get busy with life? You just die?
You're in that car, and that's the plot hole. Wednesday, September 22nd.
And the boy watched it.
So in the American version, she does that with him. Because when she gets home, she
makes a copy.
Well, when she gets home in the American version, she says to him that we found the girl and we set her free. And the boy's like, why did you do that? The well was to keep her in. And what they don't really explain in this version, which they do in the American version, I think is better, and they also do in the commentary for this film, as well as the graphic novel, which I think the graphic novel is really well done, is they explain that when she inherited her ESP powers from her mother, it just made her pure evil, crazy evil. And she was, in the American version, she was like killing small animals. She was just murdering animals and classmates of hers.
A little more backstory.
Yeah, a little bit more backstory.
Okay.
We're basically explaining that she was just like in a children's psychiatric ward or whatever. She's just staring at the camera like, because I wanted to. This is fun. This is what I like doing. This will pass this, like really just
Yeah, because it really didn't, this one didn't like play out that whole pure evil thing.
No.
She just was there doing...
She was just kind of evil, yeah. That's why I like the American version a lot more, but I think this has its moments too sometimes. But I do like it in the American version, it was just Naomi Watts by herself. Yeah. Because Naomi Watts was, becoming kind of a huge star at that point. So, and she recently just did another movie that's an American version of a foreign film called Mommy Dearest, about a woman who comes home from the hospital wrapped up looking like the Invisible Man, and her twin sons don't think that's actually her mother, and that somebody took her mother's place in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's really cool. The Argentinian version and the American version are almost identical in every way when you get to the big plot twist at the end. So, definitely worth seeing. So again, first Japanese horror movie you ever saw.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I think it had a lot of holes in it. A lot of things that I was like, why'd they do this? And what's this? And maybe it's a cultural thing.
Yeah, no, but did you like it overall?
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Very different?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me for this episode of Halloween edition of Film Dungeon Commentary.
Film Dungeon Commentary.
That's what I've called every single one of these.
Is it going to be...
And since your domain's in the dungeon sometimes, this is my domain, the Film Dungeon.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we just have instead of shackles hanging from the wall, it's the string of the black tape or whatever just hanging from the wall, and you're just looking around going, I'm expecting more S&M and sex toys, but all I see is a bunch of ruined VHS tapes.
Okay.
But it's a dungeon setting, though.
So have you chosen your next film for this?
Yes.
series?
Me and a friend of mine are actually going to do The Ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to do The Ring the day before Halloween and post it on Halloween.
Nice.
Yeah. He's going to be coming on with... I was on his fan commentary series. He did Saw 2 because the new Saw film came out. And he was actually, him and his business partner we met at PAX East for a Spider-Man panel that I was hosting, which I didn't think anyone was going to show up for, and ended up having 100 people in the audience, which was
nice.
huge for me. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, 100 people? Seriously? I was expecting maybe 10. So, but thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
Don't forget you can find me over on radioofhorror.wordpress.com. Don't go to Radio Horror Facebook page right now, unfortunately. The hackers have taken my Facebook page from me.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. So go to my Twitter account at ChrisDSAB or on Instagram at Radio Horror. Thank you, everyone, and have a happy Halloween.